Welcome, everyone, to Stadium Journey of Obstructed Views, the show where a couple of guys in a couple of countries drink a couple of beers and discuss a stadium somewhere in the world and our experiences there. I'm Paul.
And I'm Dave.
And we are happy to be here with you tonight. Before we get started, please make sure to subscribe to the Stadium Journey YouTube channel, like the video, and feel free to leave comments. The official Stadium Journey review of today's venue can be found at stadiumjourney.com, or the link is conveniently right in the comments below. So let's get rolling. Dave, what are you drinking today?
So over the weekend, I headed to Barrie, Ontario, which is just about 20 minutes from where my cottage is in Wasaga Beach, and I was on a mission to find a good Obstructed Views beer. So one of the craft breweries in Barrie is called Flying Monkeys. They do have their stuff sold in the LCBO, which is the provincial liquor store. So I found myself a Flying Monkeys 12 minutes to destiny. If you're not tripped out by looking at that can,
I need some sunglasses, man.
It's a little hard to find all the words and stuff, but it is a raspberry hibiscus lager. So it's almost kind of like a sour, but it's sweeter than a sour. It feels like it's just on that invisible line between beer and cooler. So it is very fruity, but good, refreshing, and we'll take it from Barrie, Ontario. So what do you got today?
And we actually looked up before the show, like what's a hibiscus? And it turns out a hibiscus is a flower. So I don't know what a hibiscus would taste like, but I'm sure it adds something, probably some nice aroma, some nice florals, as it were, to the to the drink. Okay, so you took a trip to find a beer. I actually crossed the street from a hockey game. So we were at the Providence Bruins game the other night. Really cold out, really windy. So on those nights, we try to not drift too far downtown and explore. So we went right across the street to Trinity Brew House, which is one of the oldest brew pubs in all of Rhode Island, and picked up a Kolsch. And you've got a fancy psychedelic package. I have very minimalist packaging. I don't know if I'm catching the shine here, but this is the Kolsch from Trinity Brew House. And you notice that they just put their logo on the can and just write in Kolsch. So, and they did that with all their different beers. It's just written in what kind it is. So I really enjoy a good Kolsch. It's similar to a lager, which is right in my wheelhouse. So good beer for me tonight. If you're visiting today's destination, you've got your picks of beer, because we are traveling to one of the premier brew pub capitals of the country. So you may take a stop at Switchback Brewing and try out a Cashmere Cat Double IPA, because today we're talking about Gutterson Field House, home of Vermont Catamounts hockey. Before we dive in, let's take a look at the stadium vitals. Okay, so a couple years ago, the University of Vermont announced plans to build a brand new sports facility on campus to house the basketball and the hockey teams there. But the hockey crowd in Burlington protested so vigorously that the new stadium that's going up right on campus is now just for the basketball team. So what makes Gutterson Fieldhouse so special that people want to save it instead of getting a shiny brand new arena?
Forwards. Old school hockey barn. That's exactly
Indeed
what Gutterson is. It's an old school hockey barn. It totally reminded me of some of the older venues in Quebec in the QMJHL. Rounded. You've got your different types of barns, of course. You got your pointy barns and your rounded barns and your
This looks like you took a barrel, cut it and sliced it in half, and just put the top down on the ground. That's what it looks like.
Yes. It's funny how, to me, something so simple as what the ceiling looks like in a hockey arena can have such a significant impact. So rounded hardwood ceiling. Well, more than ceiling, right? Like the sides only have about 10 rows of seats.
Yeah, really unique setup where because of the shape of the building, most of the seats were on either end.
Mhm.
There weren't a whole lot in along the sides. And you and I actually went to the same game here in Vermont back in 2019,
Yep.
and actually kind of sat like 10 rows away from each other. I was right on the glass, and you were, I think, right up near the last row. And
Yeah.
but yeah, we were right next to each other still.
Yeah. You were on the glass, I think, right? Like,
Yeah, when I say on the glass, here's the glass. Here was my face. I'm telling you, there was not a whole lot of room, and it was awesome.
yeah, not a whole lot of space there. I think the one end is the student section.
Yes, the far end of the building. Yeah,
And I can't remember if the band was in the same end or not.
they were, but they were kind of in the corner on a little platform.
Okay.
Now, do you remember
Okay.
one of the interesting things about Gutterson was the access to different parts of the building? Depending on where you sat, you kind of had to go down, up, around, and over to different places. If you were on
Yeah.
one side of the building, you went in one side and went down and around. Other side, you went up, over, down, and in.
Yeah.
Very strange.
Yep. Yeah. Unique. The exterior it looks fairly modern for a 1963 venue. I would say that they have done some sort of exterior work over the years. It sure doesn't look 63. It looks fairly crisp. But yeah, you walk
And you walk in.
inside and it's like, wow, this is it. This is, you know, old time hockey. Eddie Shore. Yeah, you can almost hear Paul Newman.
Yeah.
Old time hockey. Eddie Shore. Toe Blake.
I mean, all I could think of is you've talked quite a bit on the Stadium Journey podcast about the old school barns, and when we walked inside, it's like, this is what you've been talking about all this time.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is old school, and old school in a good way.
Yep. Absolutely.
Sometimes old can just mean old, but Gutterson was a really great venue and displayed its history all over the place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was surprised to see, not being a big follower of college hockey, but I have enjoyed the 10 to 12 venues that I've gone to, but I can't say I've ever really followed, especially in my younger years. Of course, I was surprised, some of the names that have come through, Vermont. Patrick Sharp and Tim Thomas and Legion of Doom, John LeClaire,
Yeah.
and then
a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, Martin St. Louis. And interestingly how like his narrative in the NHL was pretty much the same narrative he had when he was in college. He was too small, he was too everything, and not going to make it. And the same sort of narrative came to him when he hit the I guess he came up with Calgary, and he's too small and too slow, and then ended up with Tampa, and where he really blossomed. And I don't think they win that first Stanley Cup without Martin St. Louis, and then making it to a Hall of Fame. Wow, that. And for a guy who played for University of Vermont hockey, that's a big feather in the cap of a program like that.
No doubt. And yeah, if you go into Gutterson Arena, you can walk around and learn a lot about the program, a lot about the history. They've got displays covering one of those places where they've been playing hockey there for so long. They've got stuff everywhere. They have banners hanging down from the rafters, and they actually are rafters in an old school place like this.
Mm-hmm.
Of every player from Vermont who has been in the Olympics. They had their all-time team there, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Which had a lot of those fantastic names that you were just reading off.
Yep.
There's murals, and then there was a place that we found actually after the game. I don't know if you stumbled across it before, but I stumbled across it after the game. What was it called? The Hall?
It was their wasn't it their just general athletics Hall of Fame?
Yeah, I think so.
And there were
they had
all of these
displays there,
trophy cases there with all of these, and outside of just hockey, right?
I think so, yeah. But they also, focusing on hockey, since that we're talking about, they had every player who's been drafted who went to the school. every player who's won the Stanley Cup, everybody who's played in the Olympics. They had all these different displays. And then again, for other sports, I don't think they've had anybody make the NBA or the NFL. Actually, they don't even have a football team right now. So
Yeah. But national championships, I remember they did have a few in skiing.
Oh, those were the gymnasium, which is right next door.
Oh, right.
Almost right next door.
And it's funny how, the gym, very much in the same sort of manner, right? It's an old school basketball gym, right? That you'd find in your high school or your in one of my universities or whatever. And oh my gosh, was that place tight? And packed. Whoa, is it so packed? Now they were really good that year that we were there, the basketball team. So
the basketball team generally competes for the conference title every year. They're in the top of the NEC. They play in the Little East in hockey, but in the other sports, they're in the Northeast Conference, I believe.
Hockey East for hockey.
Yep.
Right with the.
Did I call it something else?
Yeah, I think you called it the
Little East. Oh, you know why? Because that's the conference that UMass Dartmouth is in. Right. So yes, Hockey East. And they are a power in sport. You would expect them to kind of be a power in skiing, though, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would think so. I don't know.
So the basketball gym and the hockey arena are right next to each other. The gym's here, and the hockey arena is about right here. And where they're building the new basketball stadium is actually right. It's going to slide right in between the two. So it'll be a really, really interesting setup there in Burlington.
Yeah, America East for basketball.
Again, I'm all mixed up. I'm sorry. I apologize for that. So and we were talking about the history on display in Burlington, and the name of the arena has actually got a historical significance to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was something I was like, you find that because especially universities, like, okay, is this like really somebody, or is this just some guy with a lot of money?
This guy who was the athletic director for 57 years.
Yeah. Sometimes you get that. Sometimes it's just a guy who's got a lot of money, right?
Yep.
But in this case, Albert Gutterson was a gold medalist for the United States in long jump at the 1912 Olympic Games in Stockholm. I don't know if you enjoyed those Olympic Games. I know I sure did.
I know I'm a little older than you guys, but come on, 1912.
1912, yeah. And he was the first Olympian from the University of Vermont, which was as good a naming situation as you can get, really.
Absolutely.
And so much about Vermont I find unique too, right? Even the mascot, right? The Vermont Catamounts. I had to look it up. I'm like, what the hell's a catamount? It's a cougar. Well, okay. There's only about there are only about 30 teams called the Cougars, so I'm all for them being called the Catamount.
Absolutely.
And
how many Wildcats are there?
Yeah, that's right. Actually, when we went, we saw them play the Wildcats. A division rival game against New Hampshire.
Border war.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm also, I got to be honest, when I was my first high school, which closed when I was there, it closed after I was done grade 10, St. Jerome's High School in Kitchener. Our school colors were green and gold. So like the Oakland A's, like Vermont, I'm a sucker for the green and gold color scheme. Nice. It just seems to just mesh so well.
You don't see a lot of teams sporting those colors, and you're right. It's a fantastic combination, and it makes sense for the Green Mountain State for the team to wear green, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you're traveling, happen to find yourself going to a University of Vermont, it's located. A lot of state universities are kind of located out in the middle of nowhere because they found some big farmland or something where they could build a university. The University of Vermont is located in the state's biggest city, Burlington, which is a fantastic city to visit and not far away from the campus either.
Yeah, we went to I love going places where you've been like lots of times because I could just kick back and say, hey, let's go.
And I had a place for us. We went down to Church Street.
And what a neat little street that was. Like, Emma and I had gone, and we had gone somewhere before a doubleheader day that we went, basketball in the afternoon, hockey in the evening, and we had gone somewhere before basketball, and I stopped like a street too far, and I mean, we ate at this neat little pizza place. It was fine, but if I would have gone one more block, it would have been Church Street, you said?
Yes.
And what a neat little, pedestrian only. They had we went in February. They still had like the Christmas lights up, not gaudy or anything, but just classy Christmas lights on the trees down the middle of the street, and all of these spots to go. I mean, you took I can't remember what exactly the spot was that you took us to, but we passed probably about 5 or 6 spots on the way.
Yes, we went to a place called the Farmhouse.
Right.
I believe was the name of it. And which focuses on local ingredients, farm to table kind of stuff. It was a fantastic place. Only time we had actually been there. But yeah, in downtown Burlington, Church Street, for those of you who are not familiar, it's like 2 or 3 block area, which is pedestrian only, like you just said, Dave. They blocked it off the traffic, and it's just full of shops, restaurants, some of the best brew pubs you're ever going to come across. All right there on that little walkway there. If you're into bagels, because Burlington is so close to Montreal, you can get some genuine Montreal style bagels there. I've been to a couple places that are just out of this world. So yeah, Burlington, and it's one of those. It's a small city, so it doesn't have that bustle to it. It's got that comfortable vibe. Great for visiting if you're a foodie. If you're a beer person, great choices all over the place. Ben and Jerry's factory is only about 45 minutes outside of the city. There's a place right next to Ben and Jerry's, one of the best barbecue places in the country, believe it or not, in Vermont.
Okay.
Prohibition Pig.
I loved the drive there. It was just so like we drove a different way. We went I think we crossed over at Kingston, which is not normally where, like, if I'm going east, I don't normally go that far east in Ontario and cross, because you got to go across Toronto. It's a pain in the butt. But we crossed at Kingston, and, once you rolled in, it was like just this nice, calm, quiet drive, and the scenery's nice. And we had gone through a few Indian reservations on the way there, which was a little bit, I had been on the reserve in Ontario, but I hadn't really seen how it was different in the States or anything like that. So that was kind of neat. And just a really nice, calm, relaxing drive. And, I felt like Burlington was just this kind of calm, relaxed kind of spot until I got into the games. And man, oh man, it's just tight. Basketball was tight and hockey was tight. And, that doubleheader, like, that must have been the ticket of the year, because what are they competing with in Vermont? Like nothing. Like the state school, they're the only D1 school in Vermont, right?
Right.
And
Boston is far enough away where you can't just hop over to Boston. I think it's a good 3-hour trip to Boston from there.
So yeah, I mean, it's perfect situation for the university, and not, I mean, they're D1 obviously, but they're not a Power 5 school, right? They're like, I guess you said they had football at one point, but
years ago. Yeah.
Not a huge following there. Even the basketball, it's, tiny little gym. It's tight. Not huge. I forget what the capacity was.
3,000 bleachers.
Okay.
All
for basketball. Yeah. And for hockey, it's only about 4,000.
Right.
And when we went, they were like last place in the conference, and that place was tight. Like there was
no extra seats.
Not a lot of squiggly wiggly room in there. But yeah, we just had a really great time overall. It was good to go to Vermont because we'd never been, and my daughter collects states, so she was happy to be able to do something, eat, and go to the bathroom because that's her. She can count that she's been in that
The
state.
bathroom, huh?
So yeah,
Wait, we can't go into state yet. I got to drink a glass of water.
yeah, we can't leave yet. So, but yeah, we just had a great time, and the vibe in the hockey was awesome. The student section was awesome, and for our last place team at the time, it just amazing.
Yep, this team has had Final Four trips before, but the last few years they've really been struggling. They're at the bottom of the Hockey East Conference again this year. But that doesn't, like you said, that does not diminish a visit to Gutterson Field House and the city of Burlington. One of my, in New England, you know, for Stadium Journey, I cover New England. I am New England. Sorry, Matt. And Burlington is one of the premier destinations in the region. So another worthy Stadium Journey, and one that you should consider. Even though it's not one of the big cities, it's a great Stadium Journey. So cheers. That's our look at Gutterson Field House.
Cheers.